Oh, good call, Emily. Don't want to get in trouble if we're not recording. Yikes, that would be bad. So, okay, let's get started. We are here for coaching for growth, some ground rules and expectations. If you've been here before, this is nothing new. But for the folks that are joining us for the first time, we love to just set some ground rules and expectations for our space together today. We would love for you to be present, so eliminating those distractions as much as possible. I know that is so hard in today's world. We have distractions literally everywhere, but it allows you to really be able to learn best when you're able to really be present. I will say I have my chat on my second screen over here, so if I look this way, I'm not checking out something else. I'm fully here with you. I just want to see what's going on the chat. It's easier if it's on a different screen for me. I also would love for you to be engaged. So, if you've been to Culture Community before, you know that we are by no means a lecture styled session. We have slides so that we can hit on different learning styles, but we want you to ask questions and participate. Use the chat to ask a question or the raise hand function that we have here on Zoom, and then we would love to dive into any questions that you have. If I timed out today's session well, we should have some time at the end for questions as well. So make sure that you stick around for that. And then our last one here is to just be open-minded. We have a great friend, Michelle Venturini, who taught us this mantra that we love to bring into our sessions, which is everyone has something to learn, everyone has something to teach. So even if you are a coach or if you've gone through coaching training, I would love for you to just to stay open-minded today because there's so much that we can learn, not just from me, but from everyone in the room around the skills that we're going to be talking about today. And then, of course, last but not least, this should not be a surprise to anyone. We love to have fun here at the Perk. So we are not going to be just lecturing at you for the next hour. We're going to have some fun activities. I won't put you into breakout rooms, even though that's my way of fun. I won't do that to you today. Well, but we will still do some activities throughout our time together. So does that all sound good? Can we get behind our ground rules, expectations? All right, fabulous. So just to ground us into the space. Leah did this at a session that she was telling me about, and I about died and I loved it. So I want to know which blob you are today. So if you can put the number of the blob that you are in the chat, get us grounded on how are we feeling as we come into our session on this Thursday. Got some fives, 10. This is fun because it's like you need to find it on the, oh my gosh, 19. That's funny. Ah, oh my gosh. And every time I look at this, I find like my new favorite one because there's just so many. 11. Oh, Emily, am I 12? Can I be your partner?
I was gonna say Corey's 12 because we're presenting later today, but I would love for you to be my 12 too.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna steal it from Corey. Corey can have 12 later.
I'm 9, so we're all good. I'm just
Okay, phew.
swinging through the day
You're
today.
swinging on the tree, Corey. I'm here for it. Great. Oh my gosh, Leah, you gals can be 16, 17, and 18. Oh, that's perfect. That is us. Thank you, Leah. Thanks for calling that out. Okay, so just a fun way to get us grounded in the space. If we're feeling like number 14 or number 5 or number 1, I'm hoping that we can maybe move you to a 16, 17, 18, maybe a 20. So I hope that in our time together today that we can move you just a little bit into a blob that you want to maybe be representing today, but we'll meet you where you're at. So let's dive into coaching. I want you to raise your hand if people ever bring you problems, issues, or negativity in your role. I believe that all of our hands should be up, probably, right? This happens all the time. And I'm curious on a scale of 1 to 10, bringing our blobs back here, how do you feel about that? You can just put it in the chat. 1 is, I hate it. 10, I absolutely love it. Bring me all the issues, negativity, problems. Ooh. We got a good range. Depends. It does depend. Carissa, that's such a good point. Like, you love that they're willing to openly talk with you, and that's the first step to being able to coach someone, right? Is that they actually have to bring things to you. So, 100%. Christy, that's a very specific number, and I'm here for it. 7.54. And so oftentimes when people bring us their issues, their negativity, maybe their problems, their challenges, there's a little mindset trap that we fall into. And so most leaders respond to problems in one of three ways. We fix, we absorb, or we avoid. So what does that mean? We fix. We jump straight to solutions. People are staying dependent on us because they bring a problem to us and we're like, "Yes, we can help you. We will fix this for you." That feels really good. Or maybe we absorb. We're emotionally carrying everyone else's stress. Ultimately, that leads to burnout, but it might make the other person feel better because they feel like they can just come and kind of dump it onto you and you just absorb. Or maybe we avoid. And so when we're avoiding, we're just shutting down negativity, dismissing concerns, not really hearing them, right? Telling them maybe, "Oh, no, it's not that bad. It's okay. We can do this." And not really diving into the meat of the conversation. And so I would love to bring in and annotate here to hear which trap you default to. And so if you don't know how to annotate, there should be a little green pencil at the bottom left corner of your screen or somewhere on your screen, a little green pencil with a black circle around it. You click on that, then a toolbar pops up, and then you can see the stamp function. It's like a check mark, and then you can stamp right on my screen. You can also draw if you're a drawer, that works too. And if annotate doesn't work for you, the chat is here and you can just type it right in there too. But I want to know which trap we default to. Are we fixers, absorbers, avoiders? Interesting. All right, so it looks like we live in the camp of fixing and absorbing. Doesn't surprise me that this group doesn't avoid, right? I feel like that would not, doesn't really, just doesn't surprise me that we're in this, we want to fix, we want to absorb, we want to make things better, right? And so we're not alone in this, falling into these traps. Everybody does it. But if we're talking about coaching for growth, none of these actually help people grow, right? It might help solve their problem, but are we actually helping them grow if we're fixing or absorbing or avoiding? Usually not. And so, what do we mean when we say coaching for growth? Growth is a big word. And so, growth can look like a lot of different things. It can look like having others step into problem solving for themselves. That helps people grow. Maybe we just need to help them shift their mindset from maybe a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. Or it can look like helping people gain clarity on career paths and where they truly want to grow to in their career. Another option is just having opportunities to try new things. And this is not a like this these are the only four bullets that growth represents, right? But these are just a couple of examples and I know that sometimes when we talk about growth, we just think about like career growth, but there's micro moments of growth, right? In a employee, a team member's journey that's going to help them to be able to do that. And so when we're coaching, we can help in any of these realms, problem solving, helping them to really figure out what's the answer, shifting their mindset, helping them understand where they want to get to long term, and ultimately giving them opportunities to be able to do that. And so our job, whether you're a people leader, a leader on your team, even an individual contributor, we're still leaders, right? We're still those culture leaders on our team. Our job isn't just to take on everyone's negativity, emotion, problems. It's not to solve. Our job is to help people become better thinkers so that ultimately they can grow. And our job here is ultimately to become a coach and not just a problem solver, fixer, absorber, or avoider. And to do that, it all comes back to our mindset, right? So that fix, avoid, and absorb, those are maybe the mindsets that we default to. So we need to figure out how we can shift our mindset before we then take action to coach. And so we love two amazing mindsets that we use here at the Perk, which are people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, and be the guide. And so let's dive into those a little bit more. So people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. This comes from the Coactive Training Institute. It's the training that the PERC team goes through when we're doing coaching training. So this is one of like their pillars of their coaching training is believing this. So if someone's naturally creative, we believe that people are capable of generating ideas, options, solutions, even if maybe they're not seeing it immediately. They are capable of doing that. They're naturally resourceful. It means that people already have the experiences, skills, knowledge, instincts that they can draw from even if they don't see them, right? They do have them. And they're naturally whole. People are not broken. They don't need to be completed by you. You don't need to come in and fix something for them. And so when we hold this space, when we hold this naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, it allows us to see people in a different light. We don't have to come in and fix because we believe that they can actually solve this problem, grow to however they want to grow. And so we like to bring this back. We all have small kiddos here on the PERC team, and so we're often thinking about our kids when we're teaching these skills. And so we think about tying your shoes. Raise your hand if you know how to tie your shoes. I'm hoping everyone raises their hands. If not, come to us, we'll help you. How much of a journey was that, figuring out how to tie your shoes, or if you have small kiddos, it is so much easier to tie their shoes for them. Get them out the door, let's go. We're all on time crunch, got meetings to get to, right? But if we believe that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, they can tie their own shoes. It might look different. It might not look perfect. Might be a little lopsided with their bunny ears, right? Might take 5 more minutes, but we are helping them grow if we hold them in this space that we believe that they can do it. We know that they can do it. And it is easiest just to get slip-ons 100%. That's the easy, that's the life hack for sure. And so bringing it back again, just kind of to the easiest example here, we need to hold people in this space to believe that they really can do anything that they want to, as long as they have the support and maybe some coaching along the way. So if your mindset is, I need to be the expert and have all the answers, maybe you can shift that to this person is naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. They are the expert and have the answers. I can help uncover them. But it's all from their perspective, from their experience, from their ideas that they're going to come up with the solution or the next step. And that's not our job. So that's our first mindset. Our second mindset is to be the guide. We teach on this one a lot because it's one of our absolute favorites. It's a big aha moment for people. And so we use the story arc here. And so any movie, any story, book that you read follows this arc. There's a hero who has a problem. They find a guide. The guide helps them create a plan. They take action. Ultimately, there's success, and the hero is forever transformed, right? And where we oftentimes get this wrong is that we think that we're the hero, but this is actually the other person. This is your team member. This is your employee. They are the hero. And where you come into play here is as their guide. And so they're the hero of their own story, but you're there to guide them along the way. Coach them, help them come up with that plan, see what they can maybe create again from their experiences, their opinions, their ideas. But we're not the hero, right? We're not wearing the cape. That's them. And so maybe you're thinking, oh, but my greatest value here is being the one to solve every problem. That's my value that I bring. And that's why people come to me with problems. It's a little being that hero, right? Being in that hero mode. So to shift to being the guide, we can think, my greatest value here is to develop a team of incredible problem solvers, not just for me, right? How can I develop other people to solve problems and really be that guide and shift out of hero? Okay, before we go into our scenarios where we get to practice, I want to hear from folks maybe what's hard about this when it comes to shifting your mindset when you're in this hero mode or shifting to people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. What feels hard about this shift? You can come off mute. You can put it in the chat.
What
For
feels
me, what
hard?
feels hard on this one is like just the time to
Mm,
get through that process. I'm like a very fast moving person and can grow impatient quickly. If
yeah.
someone maybe isn't like, I mean, I'm thinking of my toddlers in this case, right? Like not
Yeah.
getting it done as fast as I would like to. It's like, okay, well, we have kindergarten drop off in 7 minutes. So mommy's going to tie your shoes, right? But then
Mhm.
translating that to work in a professional setting too, when you're in a fast moving environment, just trying to keep priorities like moving forward. I know I need to give my team the space to solve, but sometimes it's hard if I feel like the answer is just like sitting right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I
For
think for
me,
me,
it's
it's
been, oh, go ahead.
no, no, please go.
For me, it's been keeping the tone of curiosity because, like, I love leading with questions. Like, I know it gets people's brains going, but I have been told, I've been working on this, is that sometimes the questions can sound a little bit demanding, and I have to just keep
Mm,
making sure this is curious. There's actually a true question mark on it. I really want
yeah.
to know what you're thinking, and it just has more to do with like tone of delivery.
Yeah. Oh, Kelly, thank you for sharing that. And we'll dive into curiosity today. So I think some of the like framing that we give there could probably help with that of like really wanting to stay rooted in that curiosity. I love that.
Yeah, I like that curiosity one. That's good. And for me, I think it's a question of identity especially like as a dad. Am I
Mhm.
the fixer or shifting that to a new identity, which
Yeah.
is developing a little team of solvers?
A little team of problem solvers, right?
Yeah, yep,
And
yep.
that's in the chat too, right? Like the value, like that a lot of people have this. The value is being this problem solver or being able to be the one to move things forward. And that is hard. It's hard to shift from that, away from that, and like to not see your value just tied to something like that. And so by no means is it just like, I'm just gonna shift my mindset, easy peasy, right? Like this takes practice, and repetition and actually doing it and just putting it into action. And so that's what I want to do with us here. Um, we're just going to do this either, you can pop your answers into the chat, you can reflect and write them down, however you want to do it. So the little game that we're playing here is coach it or fix it. So the scenario that we have is someone comes to you and says, I don't think I'm ready for this role. I feel like I'm just in over my head. And that's what they bring to you. And so, what we have on the right side here is our wonderful tool called the thought model that we love to use. And why we have this here is just to show that this is the circumstance, right? The scenario. The thing I want you to answer first is what would you think if your job was to fix this? Because everything comes from our thoughts. That's why we're talking about mindset first, right? And so the actions that we take are way down here, but what comes first is our thoughts. So if someone came to you and said, I don't think I'm ready for this role, I feel like I'm in over my head, what would you think if your job was to fix this?
That I need to reassure them.
Mm, yeah. What else might we think?
I go to like asking what makes you think that, like kind of putting it back on them. Maybe I should have the first thought, but my mind instantly goes like, why do you think that?
Yeah. Yep. And so again, we're in this fixer mode, right? So this is like what we don't want to do as a coach, but we're just practicing the wrong side of the equation here.
I think for
So
me
if
the
we're,
risk is,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Nope. Oh.
I think for me the risk is not thinking about them. I'm almost thinking, oh wait, I've got the answer, so I haven't actually thought about it. I'm thinking about myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the fixing risk that I would fall into.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe your thought is like, oh, perfect. I know how to fix this for them. I've been there. I know exactly what I did last time when I felt like this. And so what would you say if you were in fixer mode? If your job was to fix this for them?
What can I take off your plate?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you need me to do for you to make you not feel so overwhelmed?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you're taking something back on, right? Yeah. What can I take off your plate?
I feel like even more sort of negatively, like I would be like, if it was a good performer, my first reaction would be like, you're wrong, you totally have this. And
Yeah.
then I'm discrediting their feelings, which is even worse.
Totally, Samantha, that's spot on, right? Absolutely. If you're thinking, no, you can totally do this. you're not in over your head,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of like that avoider, like the mindset traps that we were in. And we're not trying to avoid, but that's kind of where that falls, right? Of, no, you can totally do this.
I would miss like what Kelly said earlier about curiosity. I would totally miss that. I would say, oh, this is what you need to do instead
Yeah.
of even just asking the questions.
Yep. And so maybe you would give advice, solutions because you've been in this situation, or my teammate just went through this and this is what helped them, right? And so this is where if we're coaching for growth, this is where we don't necessarily want to live, right? So let's go ahead and flip the switch. Now we're not talking about fixing, we're not talking about giving advice or solutions. So if someone comes to you, same situation, I don't think I'm ready for this role. I feel like I'm in over my head. Let's start again with the thoughts. If we wanted to coach them, what's a thought that we might have?
My thought would be, how do I help them see that they are, and how do I help support them to feel like they have what they need to be successful?
Yeah. Yeah, what role can I play in supporting them, right? It's not like we're trying to fix it for them, but what role might I be able to play in supporting them? And in the chat we have like, maybe we're just kind of wondering like, I wonder what makes them think this, right? Just kind of already being in that curiosity space. And so if we were to be a coach here, coaching is all about asking questions, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. What's a coaching question that you could ask them that doesn't fix, but truly coaches them through this? Yeah, what's going on? What could be better?
What
Tell me
makes you think
more.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what makes you think that? Yep. What's your biggest challenge right now? Yes. What would make you ready? Ooh, that's good. What do you all notice about these coaching questions that are in the chat or that we've kind of shouted out? What's maybe a theme or something that you notice about them?
Putting it back on them.
Putting it back on them. They're naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, right? Yeah, we're asking them to reflect on their feeling. We're not just asking them a yes or a no question. We're genuinely being curious to understand their perspective, right? Why are they actually feeling this way? And so we'll dive more into questions, curiosity, but again, just kind of to root us in the fact that we have these mindset traps that we might fall into when people bring us situations that fix, absorb, avoid. And ultimately, we want to shift those mindsets to be their guide and to hold them in the place that they're naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. That's going to allow us to be able to coach and take the actions that we're going to take together as we go through this. So let's talk a little bit about what coaching is, because sometimes it's a little confusing as to, okay, coaching, what does that actually mean? What does that look like? So we'll talk a little bit about what coaching is, and then we'll dive into our skills together. And so when I came to the perk, I thought, man, I can do this. I can be a coach. I am so good at helping people. People really love talking to me, and I'm able to give them great advice. Like, I know that I'm going to be an amazing coach, and I can totally enter this space, right? I was coming from a commercial real estate property management space, but I was like, I give people really solid advice. I can be an amazing coach. Well, you go through coaching training and they tell you that that's not what you're supposed to do, right? A coach does not actually solve problems. A coach does not give advice. And so went into, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Can I do this? Because that's what I thought coaching was, right? Being able to hear people, maybe hold empathy, but ultimately give them advice so that they can go make that change. So I looked a little bit like this lady here, like, oh boy, okay, I've got some unlearning to do around coaching. It's like I said, it's not about telling people what to do. It's all rooted in curiosity. We've been talking about that already. It's asking questions, helping other people discover the right answers. And ultimately, it's really rooted in holding a non-judgmental space because people might come up with an idea that you don't even know if that's going to work, right? You don't know. But from their perspective, from their experiences, they think that's the best next step. So we're going to hold a non-judgmental space, allow them to go test that out, right? And we need to listen just to make sure that we're really understanding the problem. We're not listening to respond. As a coach, you are there to understand. And the essence of coaching really lies in helping others and unlocking their potential. And so that was a big aha for me going through coaching training, and just fully understanding what it really means to coach people. And so we love this book. It's called The Advice Trap. And he puts this amazing graphic together of what coaching actually is in a nutshell. And so it's you ask a question and you shut up. You don't say anything else. You ask your question. You actually listen to the answer and then you acknowledge that answer. And I love his little cliff notes that he has. Like, we're not asking fake questions or leading questions, right? We're really stopping and stop talking. We're really not doing anything else but just putting the question out there. We're not fake listening. And we're acknowledging the answer, but not by offering advice, right? And so this is the loop. Like, this is a coaching loop that you can do. You ask a question, you listen, you acknowledge. You continue to ask the question, you listen, you acknowledge. And this is all held in a space of non-judgment. And the coaching behaviors that you need to do this are curiosity and listening. And that's what we'll dive into today. And I have a fun little third one that really turns us up a notch as well. But that's really what coaching is. And we also like to teach it in this way because consultant, mentor, coach, because sometimes it's helpful to just see the distinction between maybe different roles that you might have experienced, either as a leader or just in situations in the workplace. And so a consultant comes in, they tell you what to do, and they actually fix your problems, right? A mentor, they're coming in and telling you what to do based on their own past experience. So they've gone through something similar and they're giving kind of advice as to what they've gone through. And a coach, sound like a broken record, they don't come in and tell you and fix your problems, right? They don't tell you what to do. They're holding you in that space of seeing you as creative, resourceful, whole, capable, really just getting curious and helping you discover the answers that are right for you. And so there's a difference between being that consultant, that mentor, and that coach. And so if we bring this to an example of baking a cake, if we had a consultant come in and bake the cake, they would say, here's the recipe. I brought the ingredients. I'm going to go into the kitchen and bake the cake for you. Emily, maybe this is what you needed for your smash cake. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
sure
I definitely needed a consultant. No coach is necessary.
And so if you had a mentor come in, right, they might say something like, oh, I've made a cake before. Let me tell you how I baked mine. So still really rooted in their personal experience, giving you advice and maybe some solutions. And the coach, they're going to come in and say, you want to bake a cake? You can totally do it. I see the ingredients that you brought. I'm going to ask questions. Together, we're going to collaborate to create the recipe of the cake that is right for you. I'll be here in the kitchen with you every step of the way to support, celebrate you when that cake is baked, right? So they're not coming in and saying, oh, well, I brought the recipe that we're going to use, and then I'll coach you through that recipe, right? It's truly holding them in that naturally creative, resourceful, and whole space and being their guide throughout the whole process. And so what does this actually look like in a conversation? Because it all sounds great, right? Okay, yes, I'm going to hold them as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. I'm going to be their guide. I'm not going to give them any solutions. How do I actually do it? What does this look like, right? And what does this actually look like in a conversation? Because coaching is a conversation. It's not like this big thing that you have to set an hour aside to do. There's micro moments where you can coach. Ultimately, it's just having a conversation with another person. And so I'll kind of go through 3 different skills that will help you lead you through this conversation. There's a bunch of different frameworks. There's a bunch of different ways that you can coach. This is not the only way, but it's just a really easy way to just start a coaching conversation. Megan, I love that you said that you're ready to get on the coaching train. We are here for it. Okay, so we're going to start with listening. Then we're going to get curious, and then we're going to create ownership. So when we start with listening, we do this because before people can think clearly, can come up with their own solutions, ultimately they need to be heard. They need to feel heard by the other person. And so what do we want to do here? We want to acknowledge, we want to maybe reflect back, and we do not want to jump in because we truly want to listen. And so we're going to bring this to probably the best teacher of how to listen, how to ask questions, Oprah. So she used to have a talk show where she would come in and interview thousands of individuals. This clip is from her very last show. And it was kind of like the message that she wanted to end with to give to her audience. And so that's what this clip will kind of walk us through.
I've talked to nearly 30,000 people
You hear it?
on this show, and all 30,000 had one thing in common. They all wanted validation. And if I could reach through this television, sit on your sofa, or sit on a stool in your kitchen right now, I would tell you that every single person you ever will meet shares that common desire. They want to know, do you see me? Do you hear me? Does what I say mean anything to you? Understanding that one principle, that everybody wants to be heard, has allowed me to hold the microphone for you all. It has worked for this platform, and I guarantee you it will work for yours. Try it with your children, with your husband, your wife, your boss, your friends. Validate them. I see you. I hear you. And what you say matters to me.
But listen to Oprah all day. She is the best. We're not going to. I can't make it stop playing, but here we go. Okay. So Oprah says everyone wants to feel seen, heard, valued, validated, right? Listening is a great way to be able to do that. And we want to truly be listening, not to respond when we're doing coaching and when we're coaching for growth. We want to listen to understand. So there's 3 different levels of listening. They all have their place. None of them are bad, right? Level 1 is where the awareness is on yourself. So if you picture, we've got a little flashlight in the corner. Maybe that flashlight is turned to you. You're thinking about, have I been in this situation? What advice could I give them? How could I fix this problem? How could I move this faster forward or get this across the finish line even faster? So the awareness is really on yourself. You're not really listening. You're just listening to respond, right? Level 2, we have awareness on the other person. We're listening to their words. So we take that flashlight, we shine it on them, which is great. We're listening to them. We're understanding what they're saying. If we want to turn it up a notch and really listen to understand, that's where we move to level 3. And that's global awareness. So we're listening to things like their energy, their tone, their body language, maybe what they're not saying. We're listening to that. We're clued into that. So if we think about our flashlights here, you have one of those fancy dancy ones that can like twist and the beam goes and you can see the whole room, right? That's the kind of flashlight that we're doing here. We really want to be clued into everything about this person and not just their words. That's how we can really listen to understand. And when we're listening, we also want to acknowledge. It's not like we need to listen and stay completely silent. We want to show them that we hear them. We want to maybe name what we're hearing or feeling, but we're not fixing, we're not agreeing. It's truly just to understand the other person and make them feel like we were listening. Because again, before people can move into that, like figuring out the solutions for themselves, they need to feel heard, and acknowledging is a way that we can do that within this listening realm. So what this looks like, instead of saying something like, oh no, that's not that big of a deal, we can just say, that sounds really frustrating, or insert the emotion that it feels like they're bringing up in the conversation, right? Or instead of saying, oh, the same thing happened to me, you can say, I can see why that would be overwhelming. And instead of saying, oh, well, you should, or have you tried this? Just something simple as, that makes sense. Thank you for bringing this up. Because with coaching, with acknowledging, like we're trying to put the spotlight on them, right? It's not about us. It's not about us trying to relate to them. Oh, that same thing happened to me. So you feel like maybe that's how you can make them feel heard or understood. But really, we're just trying to acknowledge them and what they're going through. And again, none of these are solving anything. We're not solving when we're acknowledging. We're truly just acknowledging the way that they're feeling so that they feel heard. So we're going to play a game to test out if we know what it means to acknowledge. It's called Spot the Acknowledgement. So I want you to put in the chat, which one is the acknowledgement? A, that must have been disappointing, or B, you'll do better next time. Ooh, yeah, annotate is great too. A. Y'all are great students. Yes, A, that must have been disappointing, right? That's something we're acknowledging the way that we're feeling. We want them to feel heard. You'll do better next time kind of feels like we're just brushing it off. Okay, what about this one? Have you tried talking to them about it? Or sounds like that's been frustrating.
Sorry, I got clear happy and I cleared all of them.
That's okay. That's all right.
I just erased those. I apologize.
Emily's like, we got it. Move on.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're totally fine. Okay, B, yes. Sounds like that's been really frustrating. Have you tried talking to them about it? You're offering a solution, right? We're still putting it on them. We're not, saying, oh, here's how I can fix it. But in that case, we are still offering a solution.
I do want to bring up a question that was brought up in the chat that I think other people might be thinking.
Yes.
Leah asked, is it okay to then relate after we acknowledge?
That's a great question. I'll put it all to you. What do you think? Is it okay to relate after we acknowledge if we're coaching for growth?
I feel like that's a bit of a sticky wicket. Like it depends, right? But remember, Oprah says if you want to feel validated, sometimes that comes through relation, like, hey, I've been there, or I've seen this before, you're not alone. And that can kind of get you to the next level of questions to ask next. But you don't want to make it too much of a relation situation.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's that balance. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing in the chat here too, right? It's like briefly, or I do like Savannah after they share their solution, right? Like maybe after you do the coaching, right? It's a great place to then build that relationship and be like, hey, like I've like, however you want to relate. I've been here, or whatever it is that you want to say to relate it back to kind of show like you're not alone. I'm in it. I've done this too. But I love the idea of maybe doing it like post coaching, right? So that you kind of have that true coaching conversation first. Yeah, just not bringing it back to you for too long, right? Spotlight's on them. So we can test it out. And like, there's no black or white answer when it comes to coaching. And so a lot of it's a gray area. So you're going to know the relationship best. If that works well for the person to really feel that relational pull, do it briefly, then get back to coaching, do it after. But just test it out and see how it feels too. That's the best way to know if something like that works as well. Great question. And so if we're going to truly listen, we want to eliminate those distractions. Distractions it's hard to do anything with distractions. We can't connect. We can't be present. We definitely can't listen at a level 3. We aren't going to be able to be genuinely curious, and we ultimately can't coach if we're distracted, right? Because something else is pulling our attention away, and so we're not fully in it with them. And our last kind of pro tip that we have for this space is to reflect back what you hear. When you're in a coaching space, reflecting back can show that you're truly listening to understand, not just preparing that next response. This is also a way to acknowledge too. So you can repeat back what you hear and then get curious. So it might look like, so what I'm hearing is blank. Did I get that right? Again, we want to make them feel heard. So ultimately, we want to make sure that we're truly understanding what they're bringing to us. And so repeating back, reflecting back what you hear is a great way to do that. And so just to wrap listening in a bow, this comes from Inside Out. It's just a really great example of how we can really listen to understand and not just to respond.
Riley can't be done with me.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. We can fix this. We just need to get back to headquarters. Which way to the train station?
I had a whole trip planned for us.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Hey, Bing Bong, look at this. Oh, here's a fun game. You point to the train station and we all go there. Won't that be fun? Come on, let's go to the train station.
I'm sorry they took your rocket. They took something that you loved. It's gone. Forever.
Sadness. Don't make him feel worse.
Sorry.
It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
Oh, they were wonderful. Once we flew back in time. We had breakfast twice that day.
Sadness.
It sounds amazing. I bet Riley liked it.
Oh, she did. We were best friends.
Yeah, it's sad.
I'm okay now. Come on. The train station is this way.
I love that clip so much based on what we just went through, what we've been talking about together today, right? And Leah, you put it, look at Sadness coaching Bing Bong. She was, right? And Joy was really just trying to fix, absorb, avoid anything to just go, right? Like, we got to get to the train station. But really being able to listen, to understand, and not to respond, you see the power of what that's able to do in that clip. And sorry to make you cry on a Thursday morning. That's not my intention, but it's just such a good clip. Okay, so listening. We're starting with listening. Then we need to get curious. We've kind of talked a lot about questions, being curious. So let's kind of dive into shifting from like telling, right, and solving, telling people what to do, to really being able to just be curious and ask those questions. So when we're curious, curiosity is the quality that starts the coaching process and the energy that keeps it going. You need to continue to ask questions when we're coaching and when we're curious, and that's really what's going to give you the momentum within your conversation. And so when we're curious, we ask questions. It all starts with a question. And so if you're not asking those curious questions that are really expansive, then we're not coaching. And we don't want to be, again, we're in this non-judgment space. So we don't want to be in a judgment zone, and that's where our questions are coming from. We truly want to be genuinely curious about their perspective, the way that they're seeing things, so that we can, again, understand what they're going through and coach them through that situation. So our powerful questions, pro tip, we want to be asking powerful questions. We want to be focusing on questions that start with the word what. And so the reason why we do that is because why and how questions aren't necessarily bad. But Kelly, I think it was you who shared this of like, you really want them to come off as curious questions, right? And sometimes if we do a why or a how question, that can put people on the defense. It can have people read into the way that we're asking that question. So instead of, why are you focusing on this? The recipient of that question might be like, oh gosh, should I not be focusing on this? Now I need to kind of defend why I'm focusing on this. I don't know, right? Kind of gets them into like, not really thinking about their experience, but thinking, is this right or wrong, right? And so instead of, why are you focusing on this? We just tweak the question slightly. What makes this the most important problem to work on right now? Again, we're wanting that to be an expansive, we want to explore with them. It's an expansive question. And so you'll see the difference between the questions that we have here. Instead of like, who dropped the ball on this? What parts of our process need more support or clarity to prevent this going forward? And so it's just about figuring out, how can we ask a question that invites that exploration, that feels really expansive, isn't just cutting a yes or a no question, or puts them maybe on the defense. Samantha, that's a great question. I'm hoping we will have time at the end. I'm going to bring that back to our discussion time at the end. So for curiosity, what we want to do here is annotate, but this time with text. So you go down to that green pencil, and when the toolbar pops up, just click on like the text option. And I want you all to rewrite this question to be a powerful question. So maybe when you're talking with someone, you ask, well, why didn't you speak up sooner? How can we change that to a powerful question that starts with what? And you can put it on the screen or in the chat. Ooh, what prevented you from raising this concern? Yes. What prevented you from bringing this up sooner? What prompted you to bring this up now? What held you back from raising this? What triggered this? What made you hesitate? What questions weren't asked? Tell me about how you were feeling. What about this feels most important to you? Yes. And so the difference between why didn't you speak up sooner, kind of like maybe a short answer, right? The questions that we see on the screen are going to make them think, make them bring forth more. And that's ultimately what we want when we're being curious, is for them to start seeing things in a different way so that they can then do something, grow, do something differently going forward, or maybe the next time. All right, we got one more. Are you sure that's the best option? Not really a non-judgmental question, not a super curious question. So how could we shift this into being a powerful question? I know it's tricky. Once you start typing and you click off, then it kind of shows your answer. So you got to type your whole thing, then click away.
What's the beginning of that song where it's like, what? I can just see all the what's popping up.
Thrift shop, like the Macklemore song. That's so funny. Yes, Savannah, thrift shop, love it.
Such a good song.
Ooh, what led you to selecting this option? What do you like about this approach? Yes. What haven't you tried? What are your recommendations to move forward? What does your intended outcome look like? Yep. What led you to this choice? Oh, geez, Louise, sorry. I don't think I meant to do that. Oh no, now we're just really going forward. What are your thoughts? What options did you not pursue? Yes. So again, are you sure that's the best option? It's kind of that yes or no. This we're really wanting to understand where they're coming from. What makes this the option that they want to move forward with? All right. So curiosity really removes that judgment and it replaces the feeling of like, prove it to me with help me understand. And so if that tone, or if you're not really getting maybe the answers that you're looking for when you are asking questions, think, am I asking a curious question that starts with what? I want to understand. They don't need to prove anything to me. And that'll help you do that. So now our third tip is, or our third skill here when we're having this conversation, is to create ownership, because that's what makes coaching coaching. If we jump to offering solutions, we're creating dependence. If they create the solution, we build growth and ownership. And that's what we're trying to do in a coaching conversation. And so with this, at the end of your conversation, you want to get a commitment for action. That's what takes a conversation from being a nice conversation to being a coaching conversation. And so you can ask things like, what options do you see? Or of all of these options, maybe you came up with a bunch. Of all these options, which one do you want to try next or try first? Another way to ask, based on our conversation, what is the next step you will take? Or what's the next experiment you want to run? Because maybe they don't know if this is going to work. So we just need to experiment a little bit. And so really what we're trying to do is get a commitment for what they are going to go do. Because coaching requires commitment and action, right? We need them to go do something so that we can hold them accountable and then have something else to talk about the next time they bring it to us or when we follow up with them. But if there's no commitment, if you don't know what they're going to go do, it's kind of hard to hold that accountability, or it's hard to follow up to see how are they growing through this? How is this going? So that's where the commitment piece and that ownership piece really comes in. And I know that we just did accountability last month. So we taught all things accountability. And we really view accountability as not a burden. It's something that great coaches are really good at doing, is holding people accountable. And we do it because we believe in that other person. We believe in their potential. Accountability says, I see what you're capable of. I'm not going to let you settle. I'm here to support you. I want to see you grow. And so that's why we hold accountability as a coach, as a teammate, as a leader. Not because we want to micromanage, not because we want to see, oh, how did this go for them? And I'm just curious, or I just want, to see the drama of how this plays out. We really do see them as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. We want to support them. We want to help them grow. And accountability helps them to do that. So a little ownership check. We'll annotate with stamps here. Think about the last time that someone brought you a problem. Did you leave that conversation with more ownership, or did they? So where'd you fall? Did you end up having something that you were going and doing, or did they make a commitment of what they were going to go do? This is so interesting. What do people think seeing the screen? What's coming up for you as you see where the check marks land? We have so much to learn. What else?
I think there could be a little bit of a reframe here, because sometimes even when we watch the other person like take responsibility or plan a couple of actions, we still hold on to thinking like, hey, I'm your accountability buddy, so I'm going to also make a to-do list to help you. So even though they are walking away with some great ownership, we still hang on to it because we want to see them succeed. So I'm hoping that the people on this call can reframe that and know that even though you think you might have the ownership, chances are they do too. So it can be shared. It can be shared.
Co-owned, right? 100%. Yes. Yes. The idea is that you're not walking away with more ownership than them, right? So it's a balanced co-ownership, but that's, yes, spot on. Okay, and so what I'm going to share with you last is I know some folks really work well in a framework. So I gave you kind of how this can look in a conversation from you listen, you ask questions, you're curious, and then you create that ownership and you get the commitment. If you're looking for like a true coaching framework that you can lean on, we love the Grow coaching framework. It's all rooted in the skills that you learned today. It just kind of walks you through step by step. You start with the goal, you ask, what do you want to achieve? Then you go to the reality of the situation. Where are they now? Your options, what could you do? And then the will, which is the ownership, the commitment piece. What's the plan? What will you do now? So if you are a person that operates really well in frameworks, this is one of our favorite ones to utilize from a coaching framework perspective. There are so many. So by no means is this like the only one, but this is one that we like to share whenever we teach on coaching skills, these conversations, just in case that's helpful for you as you navigate, those next conversations. If you want to use the framework, take the screenshot. We'll send the slides afterwards. It'll be in there, but this is a great framework to lean on too. All right, so my last little piece for you, we love using AI to kind of boost our human skills, right? The coaching skills that we need are all human skills, and we can still use AI to help us strengthen that. So if you scan the QR code that I have here, it'll give you a prompt that you can put into the AI platform of your choice, and it will help you practice the coaching that we learned today. And so it can role play with you. You can give it a certain situation that you want to role play. you can use it whenever you want. I have here, use it when you're stuck or you're unclear, if you want to prepare for a conversation that you know that you're going into, if you just want to practice, or if you want to reflect back on a situation. How could I have done this better? This prompt will help you do that. So then the AI that you choose will just kind of act as that practice partner, that coaching partner, or maybe even the employee kind of role playing with you. So feel free to take that, and then it'll be a Word doc that you download and you just copy paste and you're good to go. Oh, thanks, Emily. Just put the link to the prompt in there too. Okay, you are now all coaches. You know how to coach for growth. And like I said, this all is a great conversation, but what makes it coaching is to have a commitment. So I would be a terrible coach if I didn't ask you to make a commitment for what is one thing that you're going to put into action from today's session. I know we learned a lot. There was a lot that we went through, mindset, the different tools and skills that you can use when we coach. But I would love to hear in the chat one thing that you're committing to putting into action. And then we'll have time for Q&A. And if anybody wants to come off mute, you absolutely can share it with the group too. We can be your accountability buddies, like Wendy said. Oh, these are also great. Sebastian, I love that you're starting with your kids. It's a great place to practice and start. Yes, using what questions? I love it. So much coaching is just about to happen, and it's going to be so amazing. So the QR code's here one last time. It's in the chat too, the link. I love connecting with folks on LinkedIn. If you're not connected with me yet, you can find me there. I'll leave us up for just a minute, but otherwise we can jump into people's questions. I know I said that there was a question that I wanted to dive into, and it's probably long gone in this chat, but I'll try and find it. But otherwise we can just come off mute and have a conversation as well. Oh, okay, I found it. It's not that far up. How do you start a coaching session if you know you need to initiate feedback on a specific event? The questions that come to mind is, how do you think X went? But that seems like a loaded question. I'm going to repaste it in the chat because I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this. Probably sick of listening to me talk. So what do we think? How do we start a coaching session if we need to initiate feedback on a specific event? What have folks done that's worked well? What ideas do we have?
Is this where you would use the FBI model stuff?
Ooh, yes, Christy, I love that. Say more.
So feelings, behavior, impact, right? But you actually reverse, it's BFI, right?
Yeah.
Hey, remember last week when X situation happened, I felt frustrated, whatever, and the impact on the team was Y.
Yes.
And as opposed to just how do you think it went if you feel like that's loaded, right?
Yeah, spot on. Absolutely. So we love starting with that FBI model, or we do it BFI model of feedback, and then you coach, right? And then you get curious. And so you say the impact, and then you ask your curious question. So that can be a great way if you're needing to deliver feedback, of delivering it in that framework, but still coaching around it too.
And then maybe the question is, what were you hoping to accomplish
Mm-hmm.
in that event?
Yeah. Any other thoughts on this topic? Feedback on a specific event?
I think for me, again, looking at my kids, you want to be enthusiastic, and jump into, hey, that's a great answer, and start building. But actually almost dialing back a bit and pausing and asking more questions. And Savannah had a great comment, not answering everything with a solution, but a question, which is getting out of dad mode, right? And saying, or even like cheerleader mode and saying, kind of from the clip that you showed from the cartoon, what was the movie? Yeah. Anyway,
Inside Out.
yeah, Inside Out. Yeah. So that was good.
Yeah, absolutely. What other questions while you have this amazing group that we can all collaborate, brainstorm, help you out? What else do you have?
I have a question for you, everybody. So, I have never heard of the concept of people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole until today. I absolutely love it. But I'm curious within, I guess, your coaching and or leadership, is that something that you call out to your team? Like, what if they've never heard that before and haven't found the or aren't totally tapping into those types of I guess mentalities. So is that something you say to your team, or how do you nurture that without explicitly saying it, if that's not the approach that you want to take, I guess?
That's a great question, Stephanie. Thank you. What do you think, folks? If we want to hold people as naturally creative, resourceful, and whole, but maybe they don't see that or they don't know that.
Do we have to articulate it specifically, or do we just demonstrate it by coaching instead of mentoring or consulting? Like, do you just demonstrate that I believe that you are whole, capable, creative, whatever all of those lovely words are that Steph had?
Yeah.
If I just have that mindset, do I then convey that from my behavior in that I'm no longer trying to fix you? I'm, using this coaching model of leading you to the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Nadia.
What do you think, Steph? Sorry, go ahead, Nadia.
No, you guys can finish up.
Oh, yeah, I did see your question. We'll definitely dive into that one too. Yes, so for this, I think leading by example is great. I think it depends on, the person. Sometimes we are like our own worst enemy and we get in our way so much that we need to maybe have somebody articulate, like, I see you, I believe in you. Like, I'm working on my coaching and I'm going to hold you in this space because I know what you're capable of, right? And so, like, being able to set that context sometimes can be helpful before then you dive into a coaching conversation if that feels like whiplashy, or if people aren't used to maybe being coached. Sometimes setting that context can be helpful, especially if they come to you and you usually give answers and solutions, right? Because now if all of a sudden you just start asking them questions and you're not giving them answers, they're going to be like, what happened? So sometimes setting that context, not, doesn't need to have like a whole monologue along with it, but just a couple sentences can help like ground you both in the space of like, okay, I'm now coming up with some of these solutions.
And these skills that you learn, like, they don't have to be a secret that only you hold. So feel free to, just like Steph was saying, share that with the other person. There's been some other great additions in the chat too of like, that's a great way to have common language and create psychological safety, which will be so helpful with your coaching, with your future coaching.
And so then, Nadia, your question, do you want to pose that to the group with any context that you have?
Yes. So I am working to help kind of support newer managers. They have struggles with members of their team. They've recently acquired a new team, and that team has gone through multiple managers. And there are some restructuring going on. So now they are kind of being held accountable for things that they hadn't in the past. I do have one manager who struggles a little bit with having coaching conversations with an employee, and that employee is kind of resistant to doing that. You already kind of gave a great start. I think starting out with that, we're having this conversation because I know what you're capable of, so it's not, this is a punitive conversation. Even if it is a disciplinary conversation, it starts off saying, this isn't a personal attack. I know what you're capable of. But then how do you kind of stick to more of the coaching format when they're resistant to participating in that conversation and be resistant to taking any responsibility for their actions.
Tricky. Great question, Nadia. What does the group think?
I think Kyle's point in the chat on psychological safety for me was like really key to that. And in the past, I once had a CEO who was he thought he was a great coach, but he was just telling you what to do. And so these coaching conversations actually turned out to be really stressful. So everybody avoided and resisted being coached because you weren't actually. So it is maybe shifting, and it does start with us. I guess we have to like almost live it, and maybe even ask the question, like, what are your concerns, or if they're being resistant, like, but not in a why way. Like I like the way you said, like in a what way. What are your concerns, and but the psychological safety, I guess, is what I'm saying, that they've got to feel that, which means we've got to live it. And I don't know if that helps, but that's what I got from this.
Yeah, the other thing that was top of mind for me is there's a difference between like the coaching conversation that we had today and like the accountability session that Emily led last month. And so sometimes we need to do a hybrid of those, right? Sometimes it's not all just coaching for growth. It's that we need to deliver tough feedback. We need to reset expectations. It's hard to coach someone who doesn't want to be coached. Like it's pretty impossible to do that. So if someone isn't receptive, doesn't have that growth mindset, isn't willing to take ownership to then go do something, it's hard to coach someone in that space. And so I think it's figuring out, why are they in that space? Is it that they don't have the adequate training? Do we need to get them trained up on something and then we can coach them? But there's a lot of reasons why maybe they're feeling stuck or that they can't take the responsibility. And so that might be like the area that you need to dive into, is to understand like, why is that happening before we can't always jump into coaching right away. Some things might need to happen before that. Are the expectations set? Have we given the feedback? Are they fully trained on what they need to be doing? So sometimes coaching isn't always the answer. Awesome. Okay, I know that we're over time. We could talk about this topic all day and talk with you all day, and we would absolutely love it. It would fill my cup so much. We hope to see you all in April for Influence and Collaboration. We will send out the recording, the slides, anything that you might need from this session. If we don't send something that you were looking for, just reach out, send an email to me, Emily, or Corey. We'll get it to you. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope that you have a great rest of your Thursday and weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.